precisely 6:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Anjana Dodamgoda, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. The President emphasizes on international collaboration to address climate change. President Ranil congratulates India on historic moon landing. CBSL to issue circular pertaining to market lending rates tomorrow. UK to provide healthcare grants to Sri Lanka. Urban Development and Housing Minister instructs to promptly restart 24 halted development projects. And in world news, Wagner chief reported dead in jet crash. And in sports news, Sri Lanka prepares for the Asia Cup cricket tournament. Now the local news in detail. A progress review meeting on climate change initiatives was held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday, underscoring Sri Lanka's commitment to climate action and international collaboration. The meeting, presided over by President Ranil Wickremesinghe, brought together key advisers and experts to discuss strategies to strengthen the nation's response to climate change. Addressing the meeting, President Wickremesinghe stressed the importance of resilience on both local and global fronts. We must be formidable in our actions both domestically and internationally, he declared, noting the critical role finance plays in supporting climate initiatives. He said that finance is the lifeblood of any endeavour, and the country needs to build substantial strength in this arena. A circular focusing on measures to accelerate the fall in market lending rates is due to be issued by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka on Friday. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe, explained accordingly, a circular is due to be issued tomorrow focusing on methods to ensure that the lending rates reflect the recent monetary policy relaxation. He further added that the expectation of at least 3% reduction in interest rates by December will also be reflected in these methods. Dr. Weerasinghe made these remarks during a press conference held at the Central Bank this afternoon. In late July, the CBSL governor had urged the licensed commercial banks to take immediate measures to adequately reduce lending rates in view of the policy interest rate cuts, stating that such rigidity of lending rates would be counterproductive in the process of envisaged economic recovery. Sri Lanka and the United Kingdom's Department of Health and Social Care have held discussions on the commencement of the second phase of the UK aid programme to Sri Lanka. The discussion was held during a meeting between British Acting High Commissioner Lisa Wonstall and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at the Temple Trees in Colombo yesterday. According to the Prime Minister's office, a delegation from the Fleming Fund of the UK Department of Health and Social Care participated in the discussion. The Prime Minister thanked the United Kingdom for selecting Sri Lanka as a recipient of this healthcare programme, which will be immensely useful to advance the health system in the country. He pointed out that Sri Lanka's health service is based on the British system and there will not be any difficulty in implementing such healthcare programs. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, Minister of Urban Development and Housing Prasanna Ranatunga has instructed the relevant authorities to restart 24 projects that have been temporarily stopped due to COVID epidemic and the economic crisis. The Urban Development Authority said, accordingly, steps are being taken to restart those projects. Out of these 24 projects, 9 projects have been halted due to various organizational issues. The estimated cost of these projects is around 56.53 billion rupees. The UDA also says that bills of around 1.118 billion rupees have been paid to the contractors for those 9 projects. Another 14 million rupees in bills to pay. The Urban Development Authority, which says that the total financial requirement for the implementation of these projects is estimated at 55,335 million rupees, and 55,000 million rupees of that is allocated to the project to replace the Valikara prison complex in Boralla to Horana area. The heat index, the temperature felt on the human body, is expected to increase up to the caution level at some places in north central and eastern provinces and in Vaunia, Mullaitivu, Munaragala districts tomorrow, the Met Department said in a heat index advisory. It warns that fatigue is possible with prolonged exposure and activity, while continuing activity could result in heat cramps. The heat index forecast is calculated by using relative humidity and maximum temperature, and this is the condition that is felt on the body. This is not the forecast of maximum temperature. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has extended heartiest congratulations to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Indian Space Research Organisation for the successful lunar landing of the Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft. In a letter addressed to Prime Minister Modi, President Wickremesinghe said Sri Lanka is proud of this historic and momentous achievement. Sri Lankan leader said Prime Minister Modi's generous gesture of dedicating this accomplishment to all of mankind will inspire generations to pursue the advancement of scientific and technological progress. He bestowed best wishes for success in India's endeavours to attain its future vision of exploring other planets in the solar system. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
The chairman of the National Gem and Jewellery Authority, Viraj De Silva, says that they are hoping to generate an annual revenue of $2 billion by the year 2025 through the export of gems. Chairman Viraj De Silva highlighted that during the first 7 months of this year, they have already amassed around $312 million through gem exports. The National Gem and Jewellery Authority also has projected that by the end of this year, the earnings will reach $500 million. Viraj De Silva has meanwhile drawn attention to the implementation of a program in accordance with President Ranil Wickremesinghe's directives aimed at curbing the illegal export of gems. That was Watchlight.
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
Moving on to world news. Taking a look at the headlines of the world news, Wagner chief reported dead in jet crash. China retaliates as Japan releases treated nuclear water. India lunar rover takes a walk on the moon. Now the world news in detail. Mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, who led a brief armed rebellion against the Russian military earlier this year, was presumed dead Wednesday after a plane crash north of Moscow that killed all 10 people on board. Prigozhin was on plane, according to Russia's civil aviation agency, which cited the airline. The crash immediately raised suspicion since the fate of the founder of the Wagner private military company has been the subject of intense speculation ever since he mounted the mutiny. At the time, President Vladimir Putin denounced the rebellion as treason and a stab in the back and vowed to avenge it. But the charges against Prigozhin were soon dropped. The Wagner chief, whose troops were some of the best fighting forces for Russia and Ukraine, was allowed to retreat to Belarus while reportedly popping up in Russia from time to time. Japan has begun its controversial discharge of treated waste water from the Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean, sparking protests in the region and retaliation from Beijing. China is the biggest buyer of seafood from Japan, and on Thursday it said it would block all such imports. Japan says the water is safe, and many scientists agree. The UN's nuclear watchdog has also approved the plan. but critics say more studies need to be done and the release should be halted. More than 1 million tons of water stored at the nuclear plant will be discharged over the next 30 years. India's moon rover has taken first steps on the lunar surface a day after the country made history by becoming the first to land near the South Pole. The space agency said Chandrayaan-3's rover ramped down from the lander and India took a walk on the moon. The Vikram lander successfully touched down as planned on yesterday evening. With this, India joins an elite club of countries to achieve a soft landing on the moon after the US, the former Soviet Union, and China. That ends World News. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the World News once again. Wagner chief reported dead in jet crash. China retaliates as Japan releases treated nuclear water. India lunar rover takes a walk on the moon. That ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities for well-experienced housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait for ages 40 to 58 years. Salary 125,000 rupees. Contact 037 7500 500.
Honus Holdings plc has announced a $12 million worth refurbishment initiative as Honus Falls Hotel. An agreement to this effect was signed with the Board of Investment last week. The refurbishment is expected to be completed within a time frame of 20 months. At present, Honus Falls Hotel has 28 deluxe rooms and 3 suites. In March this year, Honus Holdings plc announced a landmark partnership with Azhotels, a company owned and managed by the hotelier of the century, Adrian Jaker. The partnership will see Azhotels developing the Honus Falls Hotel into a high-end luxury hotel with villas, whilst also undertaking the management of the establishment, which is guaranteed to bring it in line with the best hotels in the world. Honus Holdings plc has announced a $12 million worth refurbishment initiative at Honus Falls Hotel. That was Development News.
Job opportunities for women from Deshakti Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia, ages 40 to 58 years. Arabic speaking and well experienced home cooks. Salary 125,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can travel overseas free of charge now. Branches Colombo, Kurunegala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500. Deshakti Lanka Foreign Employment Agency.
Moving on to sports news. Sri Lanka's preparations for the Asia Cup cricket tournament got underway at the Sinhalese Sports Club in Colombo today. The national cricket team will engage in a warm-up game tomorrow, after which they will travel to Kandy on Sunday. Sri Lanka's Dushmantha Chamira is unlikely to be a part of the Asia Cup tournament due to the injury sustained in the Lanka Premier League recently. Meanwhile, Vasindu Hasaranga is likely to miss the first few games of the Asia Cup tournament as he awaits his fitness results following an injury with hopes of playing at least the tail end of the series. The first match of the Asia Cup cricket tournament will take place between Pakistan and Nepal in Pakistan on August 30th. Sri Lanka will commence its Asia Cup campaign with the first match against Bangladesh in Pallekele, Kandy on August 31st. That was Sports News.
Go ekakthiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapuhina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
For a significant duration of time, Slim Brand Excellence has been celebrating supreme achievements within the nation, recognizing remarkable marketing endeavors and remarkable brand narratives. In a grand launching ceremony, Slim recently introduced the most recent edition of this esteemed award ceremony, themed Logic Behind the Magic. This theme was chosen as it signifies the importance of blending strategy with innovation in the creation of strong brands. That was Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. Land values in Sri Lanka's commercial capital Colombo on average has increased 15.2% in first half of 2023 according to the biannual land valuation indicator compiled by Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Land valuation indicator for Colombo district recorded 215.3 during the first half of 2023 with a year-on-year increase of 15.2%. All sub-indicators of LVI, namely residential, commercial and industrial LVIs, contributed to the overall increase with annual increases of 17.2%, 15.1% and 13.5% respectively. On semi-annual basis, LVI increased by 4.9% during the first half of 2023 compared to the second half of 2022. That was economic news.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in central and Uva provinces and in Ampara, Batticaloa, Polonnaruwa and Mullaitivu districts during the evening or night. A few showers will occur in western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere of the island. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. The President emphasizes on international collaboration to address climate change. President Ranil congratulates India on historic moon landing. CBSL to issue circular pertaining to market lending rates tomorrow. UK to provide healthcare grants to Sri Lanka. Urban Development and Housing Minister instructs to promptly restart 24 halted development projects. With that, we conclude the news.